We are living 'neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I am alone and I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced at the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. Imperfection, it be my crime. In humility, I will listen. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living 'neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. On this journey through thoughts and feelings, binding intuition, my head, my heart, I am gathering the tools together. I'm preparing to do my part. All of those who have come before me band together to be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. When we get there, we'll discover all of the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since life's beginning, and we never noticed they were there. We can balance at the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living 'neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Shenandoah Valley Social Distancing Service. My name is Catherine Coyle, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Unitarian Universalism is a welcoming religious tradition informed by many sources. It's about accepting all of the imperfect people who interact with it. It's a faith made up of broken, questioning, and innocent people. It's about finding a community of people who don't want to change you, only help you be the best version of yourself, however that looks. We like to say that we don't have to think alike to love alike. If you're interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism or about our congregation, please visit us at uusb.org. I'd like to invite everyone to join us for virtual coffee hour following this service. You can find the Zoom link in this week's Current or on our website. Now, let our service begin.
Good morning and welcome and Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Shenandoah Valley. Wishing you all a Happy New Year. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. What a way to start the holiday. Vaccines are being distributed slowly but surely. And for those of you who may think like I do along the same lines, Georgia's been on my mind, and it seems like today they did the right thing. Again, that's for those of you who may have my own political bent. If you don't, forgive me for gloating, but it's been 4 years. So, with that said, I would like to just thank you for being here, and let's see what 2021's going to bring. I have some high hopes for this new year.
Good morning. Our chalice lighting this morning is The Light of Truth by Richard M. Fuchs. May the light of truth illuminate our minds. May the spark of love set our hearts on fire. May the flame of freedom burn brightly within us, now and always. May it be so. Our opening words this morning are First Comes the Waiting by Erica A. Hewitt. This is the season of endings and beginnings, when the small signs of dawn pierce through the night and something new is born. But first comes the waiting. First come the lessons of endings and beginnings. The presence of life, the sheltering spirit of love, grieves with those sweeping up the debris of loss, waits with those who restlessly reach out for change, grants us courage in the night to guard each other's dreams for this holy, wondrous universe. Grant us, O universe, unfolding in mystery, a sense of your timing. May we loosen our grip on that which doesn't serve us, leaving behind that which we have outworn and outgrown. Teach us the lessons of beginnings. Remind us that such waitings and endings may be a starting place, a planting of seeds to bring to birth that which is ready to be born. Something right and just and different. A new song, a deeper relationship, a fuller love in the fullness of time.
This is hymn number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New.
Our reading this morning is a special reading. It's from, I've used this before, this book before. It's called A Blessing for the New Year. It's by John O'Donohue from a book called To Bless the Space Between Us. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken you, a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the cure of thought, and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. And may the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life.
Remember the way of the wind and breathe and blow. Remember the way of the fire sparkle and glitter and glow. Remember the way of the water and ebb and flow. Remember the way of the earth and grow. Remember the way of the wind and breathe and blow. Remember the way of the fire and sparkle and glitter and glow. Remember the way of the water and ebb and flow. Remember the way of the earth and grow. Remember, 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 remember.
This is the time in the service when we invite you to share a joy, a concern. We invite you to speak your mind and know that you are in community and that you are not alone. I am happy, a joy about today's decision. A new South is being born. This is what King and many others had prophesied about, and unfortunately he's not here to see it, or maybe he is in his way, but this is a joyful time. It's a wonderful way to begin the new year, and that people do change. And when you're in the trenches, it doesn't seem that way, but let's think about Georgia and send good energy there and see if we can turn the page into a new South, indeed a new nation. And that's my joy. For those of you who happen to have the pleasure of knowing Don Pfister, I just want to say a few words about him. He was a friend of this church, a member of the Asheville congregation for many, many years. And I realized that many people did not know him, or if you did meet him, you didn't know who he was. So this is not a memorial service. We've lit the candle for him. He was one of ours, of this community. Just want to give you a little background. Don Pfister, before settling in Asheville, North Carolina, he served in Vietnam voluntarily for 6 months. He was in the Air Force. He was born in New York City. He spent many years in Vermont, where he owned a home and was very active in the local Unitarian church there. He invested a lot of time and effort in doing some social justice projects there. He was instrumental in helping to found this congregation, from what I understand, but he also found the Westwood Co-housing community in West Asheville, of which he was a member until his passing. He was a lifelong spiritual seeker, and he was active in several church communities in the area, including Jubilee, the UU Congregation of Asheville, Land of the Sky United Church of Christ, First Congregational United Church of Christ, Friends Meeting House, and of course, this congregation. And Don will be missed. I mean, he was an eccentric man with a big heart. And he also enjoyed supporting struggling artists and musicians. And he reminds me of the words of Howard Thurman, when Dr. Thurman reminds all of us that the time and place of a person's life is the time and place of their body. But the significance of that life, the influence of that life, is as powerful and as significant as one means it to be. So we say farewell to Don, and we affirm that his name will be inscribed on the tree of life forever.
I'm Phil Freiberger. I am going to light a candle of remembrance for my departed good friend and original co-inspirational figure here at the Swannanoa Valley UU Church, Don Pfister, who was so instrumental in the early days in helping us to build the framework, both spiritual as well as legal and in terms of its structure back in the year 2000 and the years ensuing. Don was a very compassionate and intelligent individual. I don't know how we could have gotten through all the things we went through without him in the early days. A very close friend of mine at the time as well. His health had always been fragile ever since before I met him, but he was also a founding member and builder of the Westwood community in Asheville at the time, and lived there throughout all these days, and suffered a fall that resulted ultimately in his passing on Christmas Eve. I'd only seen him a couple of times since I moved back here, but it was just as though not a moment had passed in the 10 years since the last time I had seen him. So I will miss him. And I brought another one of our co-inspirators here with me for this occasion, who actually informed me of his passing and posted a very informative and marvelous bit of information and remembrance on his Facebook page. So I'll turn over the microphone to Pepe Acebo.
I light this candle for Donald Terry Pfister. Phil and Don and I were involved in starting this congregation back in 2000, and when we chartered the congregation in 2001, Don stepped into the role as president of the new congregation, and Phil was our vice president, and I was secretary of the board. Don, over the years, has helped so many organizations and individuals that it's hard to make a list. In the past week since learning of Don's passing on Christmas Eve, I have heard from a friend that he introduced to Waldorf philosophy, and actually paid for her to do Waldorf training, and her efforts led to the creation of the Waldorf School in Asheville. I know that he served as a guardian ad litem, and that he has also helped out artists. And when I had a fire at my children's block making workshop in 2015, he helped me recover from that. Yes, I'm really sad that he was in the hospital by himself, and that I had not spoken to him since the day after Thanksgiving, when he called me back with Thanksgiving well wishes, or post-Thanksgiving well wishes at that point. There is a memorial website that has been set up for him, and that website is www.forevermist.com/Don-Pfister, Pfister/. And you can leave your stories and share photos or any remembrances that you would like with people from his, gosh, it seemed like he always had different groups of friends that I was seeing him with around town. He was one of those people who connected different circles of people and would introduce strangers who would become friends. And I really appreciate that, and really appreciate the love and kindness that he showed me and my daughter, and enjoyed in recent years being able to get together with him often weekly, and just have a dinner and talk about life. So I'm going to miss that, that's why I've lit this candle. Thank you.
For those of you who did not, for whatever reason, participate in our joys and concerns, know that we keep you in our thoughts and in our prayers, and that we are here. We are a phone call away. And so thank you again. The meditation this morning is taken from Thanks Be for These by Richard Gilbert. At the end of this meditation, we will have a time of quiet. Carving out a new year. We stand before the new year as a painter before a blank canvas, as a sculptor before a massive stone, as a composer before music paper with only lines and staff, and as a dancer before the movement begins. To be sure, we have painted canvases before. We have carved out the shape of other years. We've written other notes in time gone by. We have moved through other hours. But this is a new year. This is a fresh canvas, ready to receive colors never before imagined. This is a new block of stone, ready to be sculpted by the chisel of mind and body. This is a bundle of notes, waiting to be arrayed across the beckoning page. This is an open space, waiting to host new steps and spins. What are we to make of these colors we hold in our hands? What are we to shape from this block of allotted time? What melodies and harmonies will we create for the first time? What movement will define the space once more granted to us? What are we to make of this wonder while it is ours? We tremble before the possibilities, and we feel anxious before the freedom that is given us. We are apprehensive in the face of this new year, and yet knowing all this, let us begin anew with fresh courage to do and to be. And now, while our minds are one for this brief moment, I leave you with the eloquence of silence. And so it is. The words are timeless, but the time is now. The time for our offertory. The greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it, says philosopher William James. A brief reminder to you that we need you. We need your support financially. We need your energy. We're still in crisis with the COVID virus, and hopefully we'll gather soon. But until then, there are bills to pay. There's work to be done. And so ahead of time, I thank you for your generosity and for your spirit to support this liberal religious community. And in that spirit, we now collect this morning's offering. Thank you again. Okay, let's get to this. I'm always second guessing myself when it sounds good when I write it, but when I read it the final time, I'm always like, well, anyway, enough of that. What is true for you? That's what I'm thinking. What is true for you? All genuine spiritual paths talk about truth with a capital T. I'm thinking again of the Roman governor Pilate and the brief conversation at the trial of Jesus. And Jesus is talking about truth, and Pilate says, what is truth? I don't think he had the time for Pilate, that is, for a long philosophical discussion. He was a busy man. He was a military man. He was a man of empire. And so when he asks Jesus, what is truth? I hear him saying, you don't tell me about truth. I'm the one who decides what truth is. You're on trial here, not me. And so what is truth? However, the question lingers through time. We as UUs proudly affirm and covenant to promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. This is our fourth principle. This is our fourth principle. What does that really look like? How do you recognize truth? How do you recognize truth? How do you recognize truth in your own mind? Are there categories of truth? Are there pieces of truth that we kind of cling to? I'm talking about you and I both, when it's convenient. Are there parts of the truth that you've not been able to accept? Is there real truth? Is there some truth, big truth, your truth, their truth, world truth, religious truth, spiritual truth, social truth, economic truth, part truth, foreign truth? Where's the truth then? Is fake news the truth? For some folks, fake news is anything that criticizes a person whom they worship and adore, even themselves. The term fake news is not new. It was first coined by the investigative journalism organization called First Draft to describe inaccurate or outright erroneous news, particularly if it was fabricated with a specific intent to mislead people. Again, the creation and spread of false information is as old as human history. Mark Twain reminds us that a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting his pants on. But we must be vigilant. Fake news just doesn't happen. It's an organized effort. Now, you must remember that this isn't simply propaganda I'm talking about. Many of you have heard Maya Angelou's statement that when someone shows you who they are, you need to believe them, because that's the truth. But fake news doesn't necessarily or only serve to promote a government or its vision and its work. Fake news builds a murky new environment in which all trust is lost and facts cease to matter. This is precisely the kind of environment that fascism built in Italy before World War II, one in which totalitarian regimes were able to thrive. The manipulation of truth and facts is what leads to a fascist nation. Now, yes, we have a new administration, but we're not really out of the woods. Georgia did the right thing, thank goodness. But we're not out of the woods yet. We're not out of the woods yet. We have a ways to go. When someone shows you who they are, you must believe them. And it's appearing more and more and more evident, or as I like to say, even Ray Charles can see it, that the Republican Party is anti-democratic. They played their hand. You see, when Mussolini founded fascism in Milan in 1919, do you know what his occupation was? He was a journalist. He was a journalist. He had been a journalist for decades, and he knew, well, for a decade, pardon me, and he knew the power of the news media, real or otherwise. He knew that manipulating, controlling, and attacking information was key in destroying the free press and any accurate information. And lies are the foundation of fascism. Only the thoughts of the leader, only the ideas of the leader is what is true. Now, a gentleman by the name of Federico Finkelstein, he is an Argentinian man. He's a professor at the New School of Social Research in New York City. And he researches populism and fascism. In history, he explains that fascism has no regard for factual information. In an Italian essay that he developed in his upcoming book, A Brief History of Fascist Lies, he analyzes the way fascism and inspired ideologies divorces reality from truth. In authoritarian regimes, there is no objective truth. So in this way, myth is better than science, and rhetoric that works on rooted beliefs are preferable to intellectual reasoning. Fascism will eventually get rid of a free press. Populism simply attacks it as an enemy of the people. That's very important to note. In other words, propaganda and lies abound. Where it did not convince, it confused. And therein lies its power. Lies and propaganda muddy the well springs of democracy and pollutes the sources of knowledge and understanding. So did America dodge a bullet? You better believe we did. You see, populism is still a close friend of fascism and is rooted in the belief that what the leader thinks and says is true, whether or not it can be substantiated. And this can make it a nightmare. And the more fake news spreads, the more people become accustomed to the idea that nothing is real and everything can be debated. As Kellyanne Conway said during a Meet the Press interview way back in 2017, there are alternative facts. She was defending Sean Spicer. I wish someone had defended his appearance on Dancing with the Stars. Someone needed to defend that. But she was defending him about the number of attendees at Trump's inauguration. So what is true for you? The truth is acknowledging that I am, Michael, that we are, our congregation, as citizens, part of the social contract, is for, I'm responsible for my opinions. And so I must be well informed. The truth is in acknowledging that everyone won't agree, but that doesn't absolve me from my responsibility to do my best to learn and to try to understand an issue and to be open to new insights and learning. You see, sometimes we either don't realize or we forget that everybody doesn't see life as we do. Some things appear so obvious to us and so certain to us that it would never occur to us that there would be another way of seeing. And sometimes we have no idea how what we say can be interpreted by someone else. I can attest to that when we used to have the receiving lines when we were meeting on Sunday, and sometimes people would come up to me and say things that I had to ask myself, did I say that? Did I write that? We know we are making sense, or at least we think we do. But what a surprise it is to sometimes discover what the other person has heard. It can be confusing and difficult to sort out, and we shouldn't kid ourselves, though. We have a political party in this country that has become a weapon against reality, and it remains unchallenged, at least for now. For some people, this is a time to settle old scores. The election was rigged. Let's get revenge and just burn it all down. And for some people with this mindset, any invitation to discuss reality is declined. There's always been a debate, especially in religion, about truth, whether it's absolute or relative. Most religions and some forms of religions have a claim, they think, on the truth, and they take their scriptures literally. One of the most significant things about us as you use, yes, I will tout and honk our horn. At least we don't get it perfect, but at least from our perspective, we say that nobody has the entire truth on anything. No book, no religion, no leader. We say that there is always more to learn, and each individual in this congregation, in this neighborhood, in this community is on his or her own unique spiritual path. Ours is not the only way. We don't have to think alike to love alike. We can discuss and debate and disagree, but we can do it with respect. Sometimes people get really caught up in what they believe, and they think just because they say something with fervor and conviction that somehow it's true. And so the line between fantasy and reality becomes blurred. Sometimes it's done intentionally. We usually call that lying. As we may lie to get our own way, to make ourselves look good. We may lie to avoid blame, or we may lie out of envy and guilt and fear. We may lie so we don't hurt someone else's feelings, because we want someone to like us, or we don't want to make waves or cause trouble. And a lot of times we may not mean to lie, but we do. We exaggerate, we embroider, we get caught up in the stories. But each of us has the task as a responsible member of our society of monitoring our own behavior and speech when we become passionate or enthusiastic or angry, because if we're not careful, not only will we tear down each other, we will tear down this democratic experiment. We love to tell stories. As human beings, we love it. And that's all we have, are words, and words can get in the way. And yet we try. We try to express ourselves. We try to reach out to one another. We try to present ourselves in ways that will gain attention and admiration and affection. But the question that always will linger is, what is my point? When I'm doing all this talking, what's my point? What's the ultimate result of what I say and do here today? And will these words or actions tear down or build up? This is the question. And so my hope, having survived these last 4 years, is that a new page can be turned. I hope that if not all Americans, but most can better understand that when the truth is undermined, the gig is up. The entire experiment that we call democracy is gone. It's time to reaffirm these truths: that stones are indeed hard, water is indeed wet, Elvis is dead, climate change is real, and that 2 + 2 does indeed equal 4. No, Sean Spicer, you cannot disagree with facts. The poet John Keats once said that beauty is truth and truth is beauty, and we may interpret this in various ways, but he's saying that truth is not just a philosophical concept, it's it has an aesthetic quality as well. Beauty is tied to truth and seeing things the way they really are. Doesn't mean we have to like them, but perception can lead to transcendence. To stand for truth has a cost, and the cost is to live a life of integrity and honor. And so as we go on through the year, we need to remember that to accept that one may be wrong at times, and that's a mark of intelligence, to admit that, not stupidity. I cannot tell you what should be true for you. That's your own journey. British economist John Maynard Keynes was quoted as saying, "When the facts change, I change my mind." What do you do, sir? But that's really not what he said. I had to look it up. What he actually said was, when my information changes, I alter my conclusions. This is a subtle but important difference between the facts and my information. The former refers to some objective change, the latter to the speaker's knowledge of relevant facts. There are some who say that even when the facts change, I sometimes change my mind. But let us remember the words of F. Scott Fitzgerald, that the test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. We most likely won't get there tomorrow, but each of us can begin the first steps toward that journey. So what is true for you? Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. Hopefully, after all that talk, you've got peace like a river. If you don't, just fake it and sing the hymn. Hymn number 100, I've got peace like a river. Our closing words are ones of gratitude, thankful for the world that we have with its flaws and all, thankful for the possibilities to attain the world as we would like it to be, and thankful for the continued fellowship, knowing that we lost some ones along the way, but that life continues to go on. For this and for so many things, we are ever grateful. Have a wonderful Sunday afternoon.
Here on this beautiful day, we are gathered to say, we will work, we will play, we will dance, we will pray for the healing of this wondrous and enchanting planet. From the recklessness, the carelessness, the damage from our fearful and foolish relationship to our Creator, Sustainer, forgive us. We're starting to live so that all of life has space to thrive and be respected. If we would survive, we have to learn we're all connected. So we begin from the heart and we choose just one part of the work to be done. And we find that it's fun to be part of something bigger than we know we can achieve. Forgive us. We're starting to live. So the call of life has space to thrive and be respected. If we would survive, we have to learn. We're all connected. So we begin from the heart, and we choose just one part of the work to be done, and we find that it's fun to be part of something bigger than we know we can achieve. And we're stepping out to heal the earth. We're choosing to believe.